Good morning, Union family. Oh, come on. Let me do it better. Good afternoon, Union family. Okay. My name is Carl Kennebrew. I'm the president of IUE CWA, the one and only manufacturing division of CWA. Thank you. And I'm proud and honored to introduce our next speaker, Ambassador Katherine Tai. Ambassador Tai serves as a U.S. Trade Representative. Today marks a day for change. No one from the U.S. Trade Representative has ever spoken or been invited to CWA Legislative Political Conference before. That's because while other administrations might have worker-friendly officials in agencies like the Department of Labor or the NLRB, the U.S. Trade Representatives, whether under Republican or Democrat administrations, have always served as an advocate for multinational corporations, not unions. The U.S. Trade Representatives have consistently pushed policies that are designed to make it easier for those multinational corporations to move our jobs out of the country to other countries where they can underpay and exploit workers. But that has changed with Ambassador Tai. Earlier this year, she took action for the first time in history of the USTR to protect the rights of call center workers in a trade dispute. No, you didn't hear me. Let me repeat that. For the first time since USTR was founded over 60 years ago, in 1962, Ambassador Tai took legal action earlier this year to protect the rights of call center workers, which will help end the global race to the bottom. I figured you didn't hear me the first time. And she has likewise been a tremendous advocate for manufacturing workers, which I am very thankful for. Most importantly, she's been at the center of the Biden administration's efforts to fight back against illegal dumping of goods by Chinese companies to protect union manufacturing jobs in green industry and other key industries. She's actually consulted us in developing her policies. The U.S. Trade Representatives have a long history, like I said, of meeting with high-ranking government officials for other countries. Well, Ambassador Tai actually met with members of IUE CWA Local 301 to better understand what they needed on the job from her office. Thank you. I can't tell you how glad I am that we finally have a U.S. Trade Representative who cares about American workers or who cares about good union jobs. It is my honor, it is my complete and utter honor to now introduce her. Please stand up and give a welcome to Ambassador Katherine Tai.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Carl, so much for that really warm introduction. I'm truly honored to be invited here to speak to all of you today. I want to start by saying what dedicated leaders you all have here at the CWA. They are fighters and real difference makers. Thank you, Carl, and your entire team for your leadership and friendship. I also want to recognize other CWA leaders and members here today, gathered from all around the country. You are the reason why America has the strongest economy in the world today. You are the reason why we are the most competitive, innovative, and resilient economy in the world. Thank you for all that you are and all that you do. President Biden often says, with pride and completely unapologetically, that he is the most pro-labor, pro-union president in our nation's history. And I have to tell you how proud I am to serve as his U.S. trade representative. From day one, President Biden has been clear that trade must benefit workers. The president and I know how important union workers are to our economic vitality, because he also says we know that workers built the middle class. It's the workers that built America. The president has been very, very clear. American workers are the backbone of our economy. Your success is our success, and we are fighting for you and with you to make sure that our trade policies empower you and don't ignore you or hurt you, to make sure that our trade policies help create good-paying union jobs right here at home and not ship them overseas. This is because we know that our economy isn't just a data set of numbers. Our economy is made up of people, of workers, and communities. So our economic policies and our trade policies must work for you, to empower you, to equip you to succeed, not just today, but also for tomorrow and for our future generations. Empowering you is at the heart of everything that we are doing as an administration and at USTR. We are building our economy from the middle out and the bottom up, and ensuring that our trade policies can empower workers everywhere. It can be too easy to talk about worker empowerment in a vacuum, but we know that this has a real impact on working people, because you are the engine of our economy. You make our flights run smoothly. You keep our country connected. You power our factories. You care for our sick. You provide the news. And we are putting you at the center of what we do so that we can use our policies in trade as a force for the common good. A trade policy that is crafted with workers and for workers, to build an economy where, as President Biden says, everyone is cut in on the deal. Last November, the president issued a memorandum on advancing worker empowerment, rights, and high labor standards globally. This is our way of saying that we, the United States, see and hear workers both at home and around the world. That we understand in an interconnected economy, the rights of workers around the world impact workers in the United States too. That we stand with workers and that we are fighting for them and with them. It was truly an honor for me to attend the AFL-CIO Human Rights Awards ceremony last December. Claude was there, along with AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler and other labor leaders. That evening, we were honoring the Filipino labor movement, which is arguably the oldest one in Asia, dating back to the 1850s. Even through persecution, workers and organizers in the Philippines banded together to forge a better path and a better future. We lifted up and celebrated the Filipino labor movement that night for their dedication and courage to organize and fight for the rights of workers across their country. I went to Manila last April, and I got to meet with some of the Filipino labor leaders. It was so deeply moving and inspiring to hear directly from them on how worker-centered trade policies can empower workers in the Philippines and in the region more broadly. And I want to note how tragic and truly unacceptable it is that the Philippines labor movement has endured so much loss since my visit last spring. In particular, I know that the murder of Alex De La Rosa means a lot to many of you. Alex was an LGBTQI+ activist and call center worker who became a paralegal and union leader with BPO Industry Employees Network Philippines, or BIEN. BN is an organization that helps call center workers exercise their rights and organize to improve working conditions. We know the chilling effect that violence has on the labor movement, and the United States at all levels has deep concerns about extrajudicial killings of labor organizers. Across our administration, we are asking for a formal government-to-government channel to discuss labor concerns with the government of the Philippines. And at USTR, what we have done is launched a labor working group as part of the US-Philippines Trade and Investment Framework Agreement so that we can address issues like this directly with the Philippines government. We will never forget Alex and the countless others that we've lost. Their resolve and their devotion live on today through all of you, and our administration is committed to being your partner in this fight for equality and justice. An important part of that commitment is to enforce our existing trade agreements. That is the only way to start regaining your trust on trade, because we know that our trade policies have not always worked for your interests. And so in the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or what we call the USMCA, we have a good example. I want to highlight something that many of you may very well be familiar with, and it's what we call the Rapid Response Mechanism, or the RRM. We have used this labor enforcement mechanism under the USMCA to bring real change to workers and their families in Mexico. Tens of thousands of workers have voted for the first time for independent unions and approved new, real collective bargaining agreements. Hundreds of workers who were wrongfully dismissed for lawful union activities have been reinstated with back pay, and thousands have received significant pay increases and improvements to their working conditions. I want to emphasize that we are using the RRM in different sectors, including the automotive supply chain, in garments and garment making, in mining, and also in services. Now, I know that for many of you, the Atentos Servicios case is extremely important. That was our first case focused on a denial of rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining at a call center. We initiated the case earlier this year, and we asked the government of Mexico to look at whether this call center facility is denying workers their rights by interfering in workers' union activities, including through the dismissal of workers. We are also concerned by allegations that management at this facility is coercing workers into selecting a specific union for representation. And while the case is still ongoing, it does show how we're using the RRM to benefit more workers across more sectors and holding more corporations accountable. Not only that, thanks to partners like the Solidarity Center, I'm hearing that news of the RRM and its potential benefits for workers is spreading throughout Mexico by word of mouth. Workers talking to other workers about what it is and what it can do. Truly a grassroots effort that can make an enormous difference in working people's lives. This is how we are using trade to end that race to the bottom where exploitation is rewarded in the name of efficiency, because we are committed to driving a race to the top, using, of all things, a trade agreement so that workers and their communities get their fair share. And I want to emphasize that this not only helps workers in Mexico, but it also empowers our workers here at home, because we are leveling the playing field so that our workers across so many different sectors can compete fairly for once. By doing so, we reduce that incentive to ship jobs overseas. And I want to note that we are doing our work in the Biden administration with an unprecedented level of partnership and collaboration across the administration, including and especially with the Department of Labor. We take the pillars of the Biden economic agenda seriously. working across the administration to invest in America, to empower our workers, and to create more economic opportunity for a growing middle class. I cannot say enough about the exemplary leadership, courage, and brilliance of Julie Su at the top of the Labor Department, of Thea Lee, the Deputy Undersecretary for International Labor Affairs, and Wendy Chun-hoon, the head of the Women's Bureau. I know that all of these leaders are well known to you. I just want to connect the dots, that they are good friends, they are sisters in arms for me, and that we are all a part of the same community, working towards the same objectives. Your interests are also top of mind for us in all of our trade negotiations, including the ongoing negotiations with Kenya and with Taiwan. We are aiming to negotiate the highest labor standard trade agreement texts ever developed and not settling for watered-down results that prioritize more trade over worker-centered trade. We also know, because we have heard you loud and clear, that workers like CWA members are not just interested in the labor rules in our trade agreements. Your rights and interests are deeply implicated also in the enforcement mechanisms like the rapid response mechanism, and also the rules that address the way the digital and digitized economy will work. CWA was one of our first partners to raise concerns about the potential for services jobs to be shipped overseas through our trade agreements, and made the connection to concerns around rules that relate to data and digital. Whether it's bossware, generative AI, privacy rights, protecting your children, or democracy itself, we know that CWA cares about all the aspects of our trade policies, including our data and digital trade policies, and their impacts on your workers and your future. In the spring of 2021, I just wanted to share with you a story. Someone who was very well-meaning came to give me some advice. And the advice was, digital trade negotiations are something that you can do a lot of. They're easy because labor doesn't care about digital trade. Well, I want you to know that even 3 years ago, I knew, because of you, that wasn't the case. And today, in 2024, everybody knows it. So thank you, CWA. You have my commitment to continue working with you to make sure that the rules that the world makes in these areas reflect your concerns and your interests and your voices. Now, you may also know that my office, just like everybody these days, is very focused on supply chains. And this is a critical part of our worker-centered trade policy, because not only is it important to be more resilient in the face of supply shocks, it is foundational worker-centered trade to creating sustainable economic growth. For USTR, supply chain resilience is more than just about the movement of goods. It is about redesigning trade to further our core values like strong labor standards and environmental protection. Over the last few months, we have invited public comments and held hearings to develop trade tools that will build more resilient supply chains. And I wanted to let you know we've started by highlighting about a dozen specific strategic sectors for focus. One of those sectors that we specifically asked for public comments on was call centers and related services, because we know how important this is to you. My office is carefully reviewing all of the input that we're receiving and working on how to move forward, so please stay tuned these next weeks and months for developments there. I want to leave you with this. When I met with the Filipino labor leaders last spring in Manila, and when I meet with union leaders from other countries and with my foreign government counterparts during my travels, I've discovered that it turns out that we all want the same thing: to build our middle classes and to create good jobs, to build a world where our working communities can thrive, to offer our children more and better opportunities. In all of these meetings that I do, and let me tell you, I do a lot of these meetings, I say to these leaders, we have to stop pitting our workers against one another. You are our partner in this work. CWA is one of the largest and most diverse unions, and your work over the years, including on trade policy, has been instrumental to us and to developing our vision. We have come a very long way, but we know that there is a lot more to do. We're going to do this together with you. Thank you so much for inviting me here today.